We will continue with our primitive session, which we discussed in our earlier lecture. We saw how to create cones, how to create box, and now we look into the other primitives which are listed. So we'll start with the sphere. If you go to the sphere, you have the primary parameters radius and you have the segments, and you can create hemisphere as well. So for example, I am giving the first point here by left mouse click, and I will drag so that you can see here the radius will be assigned, and I want 100, and number of segment is 32 here, and which you can see through F3, and you press F3 so that you can see the wireframes, and you can increase this number to 50, let us say. You directly increase the smoothness. Just like that, if you give the hemisphere parameter like 0.5, this will be converted to a hemisphere. You can press F3 and you can see. You can press Alt and center button to rotate and look from different side. Press the Alt key and center mouse button, or you can say the scroll, to press the buttons, and you can rotate it. Just like that, you can look into different hemisphere parameters like 0.25 I am looking for. So when you go for 0.25, you can see you can slice the 0.25%. You can go for the slice on, and you need to slice from 0, and you need till 120. You can slice it in this way, and let us say this hemisphere parameter I am going for 0. So in this way you can directly slice and you can assign the parameters. You select this, and I am pressing the del key. I look into the geosphere, and the difference between the sphere and geosphere will compare. In case of geosphere, also you have the radius and segments. I am selecting the center point here through left mouse button, and I will drag it, and I will right click to apply the properties. I will go to modify, and I will double click the radius, and I will go for 150, let us say, and I will go to F3 to see how the grids are arranged. You can see a triangular fashion. You can go to tetra, you can go to ICO, and you can increase the numbers, and different patterns are there in which you can increase the numbers, and you can create your objects so that smoothness can be varied. So this is the density which you can control through different base type of selection. Just like that, we'll look into the cylinder. In case of cylinder, primary parameters will be your radius and height. I am defining the cylinder base by left mouse click. I drag the base for creating the radius, then I release the left mouse, and I just lift through the mouse and click it, and you can put the parameters here. Let us say 50 and 125 will be the height. Just like the other standard primitives, you have the frame controls here. You go to modify, and you can see here the height segment is 5. I am increasing this to 10, and the side which is over the periphery I need to change to 24, and the cap segment which is for the top and bottom I am going for 3. So this will be the cap segment which give you a final finish. And if you see the color rollout, that you can do for any type of object. If you select the object, and you can see the parameters here, apart from the parameters in the top right corner, you can see the color. Once you select the color, you can assign a color to it. In this way, you can directly select and assign a color, and you can navigate through that. You can go for select by color as well, and if you have other objects, from there you can pick and you can transfer. So this you can use directly to see the direct colors available, and you can assign it. Other than this, we have other standard primitives like the tube. Tube we can create by assigning the radius 1 and radius 2. you give the start point, give the end radius, and give the tube inner radius, then height. And just like that, you can create a hollow cylinder by assigning the parameters, maybe 100, 60, 150. Without interactive creation also, you can directly create through the parameters entries as well. If you go to box, let us say, I don't want interactively create inside the screen, then you can switch from parameter to keyboard entries, and you can put XYZ initial locations, and you can go for the length, let us say 150, and width as 50, and height as, let us say 25, and you can go to create, and you can directly create your item. Just like that, if I want to put some offsets, let us say Y offset is 250, and with the rest of the parameters same, I can create the object. Next parameter maybe with the Y250, I need some Z values, which is 200, and I'm going to create with the rest of same parameters at the different locations. By assigning the X, Y, and Z locations, you can create the object. And you mark one very important instance: when you create object in 3ds Studio Max, automatically the system assigns a color to it, and you can change this color anytime by selecting and assigning a new color if you want. And this particular principle you can apply to the cylinder, tubes. Maybe I'm selecting tube and going to keyboard, and I can have XYZ, and inner radius is, let us say, 50, and outer radius is, let us say, 100, and height is 125. I can go to create, and you can get the objects. And here you can see one very important point, and you can change here whenever you wish, like the segments, like the cap segments or sides, which you can see through F3. And this you can do always. And also the radius or any other parameter you would like to change, you can directly change it. Maybe the outer, maybe the height. Whatever you want to change, you can directly assign through the modify, and you will get the parameters, and no more you can see the keyboard, because keyboard instance you can only apply during the creation. You can select and delete it. I'll go to create, and now we'll see the pyramid. In case of pyramid, you have the keyboard and you have the parameters directly interactively. You can create. I'm selecting the base, I'm selecting the height, the apex, and accordingly you can go to modify and set the width. Let us say width is 200 by 200 and height is 250, and you can have your all rest parameters accordingly. So you can modify, this is 200, and you can set other parameters, like you can see in the wireframe, and you can put it to more numbers. So in this way you can create your objects, which are known as primitives. You can create a teapot, which you can use for any demo purpose or any instances for explaining the working principle. So the purpose of teapot is only for the presentation and demo. And you can select this and you go to modify, and you can see the body, handle, the spout, leads. Independently you can control this, whichever you need or need not need, that you can configure lead. And once you have this, you can have your segments. If you increase the segment, the smoothness will directly be reflected and with a higher note.